A family vacation that started off feeling pretty ordinary, but slowly turned into something much darker and way more terrifying, all because of one small decision. They ended up trapped in a situation they could no longer escape. If you like chilling stories, stick around till the end. Okay. This movie follows the life of a small family that looks really harmonious. Adam is the calm and reliable husband. By his side is Grace, his attentive wife, and Lee, Grace's cheerful younger sister, who's always curious about everything. They had just spent their Christmas vacation at their mom's house. The warm atmosphere still lingered as they started heading back to the city.
2 weeks on the road.
Sure as shit beats being in the office.
Throughout the trip, Lee kept busy taking photos and recording little moments, from light conversations to scenery along the road. Lee seemed to want to preserve all those memories. But in the middle of the journey, they felt like something was missing. After thinking about it, they finally remembered one place they hadn't visited yet. Inslee's famous crocodile sanctuary in the area. Without thinking too long, they decided to stop by for a quick visit.
Power of the penis.
When they arrived, the place was crowded with tourists. They watched the tense crocodile feeding show, saw firsthand how ferocious those saltwater reptiles were, and walked around looking at various types and sizes of crocodiles. The visit that was supposed to be just regular entertainment unknowingly became the start of something much more dangerous.
When you get back to Sydney, only photo you took, and you're gonna be.
That night, they spent time at a nightclub. The atmosphere was relaxed, full of laughter, and made them enjoy their time together even more. In the middle of the conversation, they started planning their last activity before heading home. There, Adam found a tourism brochure offering a fishing package at Barry River. The location looked peaceful and promised an interesting experience. The three of them immediately agreed on the idea.
It's just an idea.
After returning to the lodging, the mood became quieter. It was then that Grace realized she was pregnant. A mix of happiness and nervousness instantly filled her heart. Grace wanted to tell Adam right away, but seeing her husband already sound asleep, she decided to hold back. Grace planned to share the news later at a better time, as a sweet surprise. The next day, they immediately carried out the plan they had agreed on. The three of them headed to Barry River for the fishing package. The journey took them deeper into the mangrove forest area, which felt increasingly quiet and isolated from the outside world.
This must be.
When they arrived at a location, they met an officer named Jim. Jim said the main group had already left earlier, so they were late. But Jim offered to take them around the river privately while fishing. Adam immediately agreed without any suspicion. While preparing the equipment, Lee accidentally found out that Grace was pregnant. Lee was instantly overjoyed and couldn't hide her happy expression. Grace quickly asked Lee to keep it a secret for now, because she wanted to surprise Adam herself. On the other hand, Lee started feeling like something was off. She saw Jim carrying a gun, which she thought was unusual for a regular fishing trip. Even so, Lee stayed quiet and kept her suspicion to herself. Not long after, they boarded a small boat and started cruising down the river toward the fishing spot. Along the way, Jim explained the river's condition. He said that during Christmas season like this, water from upstream brings a lot of tilapia and sapa fish to the area. The current was calm, perfect for fishing. Jim also assured them there were no crocodiles around because they had all been moved to the farm. At first, everything felt safe. Calm water, quiet atmosphere, no signs of danger.
King Tide.
Some of the old days before all the crocs. No, it's just Barry's insurance policy.
But suddenly something slammed into their boat. Everyone instantly panicked. After checking, it turned out to be just a floating milk can. They tried to calm themselves down and thought it was nothing. Since the fish weren't biting, Jim decided to move to a new spot. Jim took them deeper into the mangrove area that was getting narrower and more isolated. He said it was the best spot to catch sapa fish. Sure enough, not long after they arrived, Adam's bait was immediately snatched. But the calm didn't last long. Their boat was hit again, this time much harder. In an instant, the boat flipped over. The water that had been calm turned into chaos. It turned out they were being attacked by a very large saltwater crocodile. In the panic, Adam quickly helped Grace climb onto a mangrove tree. Then Adam tried to go back into the water to look for Lee, but the situation got even worse. The crocodile appeared again and attacked Jim until he was dead. Adam struggled, but finally managed to climb up the tree and save himself. Meanwhile, Lee was still alive. Lee had been trapped under the overturned boat, but managed to get out and climb on top of the boat to avoid the crocodile. Lee tried throwing a rope. After several failed attempts, Adam managed to grab the rope with a branch and pull the boat closer.
I'm not going in the water, get a cut.
But the boat got stuck and couldn't be moved. In the end, they asked Lee to cross by holding onto the rope. Lee hesitated for a moment, fear clearly visible on her face. But finally Lee gathered her courage. With great effort, Lee managed to reach the tree where Adam and Grace were. Once safe, Lee immediately asked about Jim. The answer she heard made the atmosphere instantly tense. Jim had already been eaten by the crocodile. Fear turned into total panic. They started looking for a way to get out of there. Adam suggested using the boat again, but Grace refused because it was too risky, especially with the crocodile still around. But there really was no other choice. They realized this trip wasn't officially registered, and their position was far from the main route. In desperation, Grace and Lee tried shouting for help, but there was no answer. Only silence replied. Time passed, and mosquitoes started bothering them, making Adam even more uncomfortable. Luckily, Grace had brought anti-mosquito lotion. Meanwhile, Lee tried to turn on her phone, but it was already damaged from getting wet. The situation got even harder. Grace then suggested another plan, moving to the mangrove branches toward the estuary so they could be more easily seen by passing boats. Adam immediately rejected it because it was too dangerous. But when they thought about it, only Grace could possibly do it. Lee was injured in the leg, while Adam had lost his glasses and his physical condition wasn't supportive. In the end, with no other choice, Grace decided to take the risk. With slow and very careful steps, Grace started walking on the fragile branches. Below her, the dark water hid a deadly threat, and from this point, their nightmare truly began. Among the branches, Grace saw something that made her blood feel like it stopped flowing. A piece of a human ear was stuck there, believed to belong to Jim. Fear instantly took over her. Without thinking long, Grace quickly turned around and hurried back as fast as she could to where Adam and Lee were. After hearing her story, the atmosphere between them became even more tense. Adam suggested his old idea again to flip the boat and use it as a way out, but Grace and Lee still refused. For them, the risk was too big. An argument broke out, but there was no clear decision. Time kept passing and exhaustion started to set in.
Thank you. Gently down the stream.
So do I.
Finally, Lee fell asleep on the tree because she couldn't hold her body up anymore. Lee woke up because the swamp mosquitoes were getting more aggressive. Half awake, Lee asked for Grace's anti-mosquito lotion. Unfortunately, the bottle slipped from her hand, fell into the water, and drifted away. Their situation became more hopeless. Adam, who couldn't take it anymore, finally lost his patience. He didn't want to just sit there waiting to die. He remembered his childhood when playing hide and seek and managed to hide for a long time because his brother went off to play instead. From that, he thought maybe the crocodile was no longer around them now, busy with its prey.
I remember being a kid. Minutes after keep me in the cupboard, it was me. It was fear.
With that belief, Adam got brave and went down into the water to try flipping the boat. Adam struggled hard against the current and the weight of the boat. After trying for a long time, he finally managed to get the boat back to its original position. But that hope didn't last long. From the dark water, the giant crocodile appeared again and immediately attacked Adam. In a matter of seconds, Adam disappeared, swallowed by the water. Not long after, the crocodile surfaced while carrying Adam's body in its jaws, as if showing to Grace and Lee. Grace immediately became hysterical, while Lee could only stay silent, losing all hope. With the remaining strength she had, Grace tried to calm Lee down. Grace said they hadn't lost completely yet. Then Grace tried to pull the boat using the rope, but Lee strongly opposed it, thinking it was too reckless. The argument happened again. In the end, Grace decided to act on her own. From a distance, the crocodile's shadow could still be seen moving slowly in the water. As the threat got closer, Grace tried to climb higher to find a safe path. But suddenly the crocodile leaped from the water and almost caught her. Luckily, Grace managed to dodge at the last second. As time passed, the water started changing because of the tide, and the boat that had been moving around became more stable. In the middle of that situation, Grace saw something that broke her heart. Adam's lifeless body was floating on the surface of the water. Regret immediately hit her. Grace hadn't had the chance to tell Adam about the baby she was carrying, and now that opportunity was gone forever. Night finally came. Darkness increasingly covered the mangrove forest, making everything feel much more terrifying. Lee started complaining about being hungry and thirsty, while their bodies grew weaker. Morning finally came. Grace and Lee were still holding on in the tree. Grace's condition was getting much worse. Her body extremely weak and her mind starting to get confused. They realized that they just stayed there. They wouldn't last much longer. In the end, they decided to move.
Oh, it's back. Oh, we have to do something.
Carefully, they followed the branches toward the upstream direction, hoping to find a way out. But that hope was crushed again. The path they were taking suddenly ended with no more footing. The only choice was to go down into the water. With overwhelming fear, they entered the water and started walking slowly. After just a few steps, the crocodile appeared again right in front of them. Grace immediately told Lee not to move, hoping the crocodile wouldn't attack if they stayed still. But panic made Lee lose control. Lee ran. The movement in the water made it hard for her to move quickly, and Grace was left behind. Grace shouted for Lee to keep going while she tried to face the crocodile herself. With her remaining strength, Grace managed to escape, but her leg was badly injured. Lee quickly came back and tried to stop the bleeding with whatever she could do. Not long after, the sound of a boat engine could be heard. Hope appeared again. Lee shouted with all her might, but the boat kept going without stopping. Their voices were drowned out by the roar of the engine. That hope disappeared again. Lee then realized that Grace's leg was too low, and her blood kept dripping into the water. Lee quickly lifted the leg so it wouldn't attract the crocodile back. Seeing her sister's condition getting more critical, Lee finally made a reckless decision. She would try to reach the boat by herself.
Like, so much.
Risking her life, Lee walked toward the boat, managed to climb on, and tried to start the engine. But before the engine started, the crocodile appeared and jumped onto the boat. Lee immediately leaped into the water and tried to escape. A chase happened until finally Lee was attacked and lost consciousness. Sometime later, Lee woke up. Strangely, Lee was still alive. Her body was full of wounds, but still intact. Lee realized she was near Jim's mangled body. That was when she also noticed that several of her fingers were broken and couldn't move normally. In terrible pain, Lee saw the gun still attached to Jim's body. Lee took it. With the weapon, Lee tried to lure the crocodile, but her plan failed because the crocodile appeared from behind instead. Lee ran again. In desperation, Lee fired the gun multiple times until one bullet finally hit the crocodile's head. The creature died. With the remaining strength she had, Lee searched for Grace. But it was already too late. Grace had died from blood loss. With a broken heart, Lee didn't leave her sister. Lee lifted Grace's body onto the boat. The movie ends with Lee slowly paddling along the Blackwater River. leaving that place full of terror while carrying the body of her only remaining family member.